Hi, Todd Cooperrider here with ESOTERIC. We just happen to be in a very special garage owned by none other than Ed Bolian of VINwiki. Ed, thanks for having us down. It's a pleasure being here. We've got a car that we want to talk about a little bit, but before we do that, we're in front of something special here. Let's hear a quick story. I know that you know how to tell stories. Let's hear a quick story about this.
Well, back in 2013, Dave Black, Dan Wong, and myself took this car across the country from New York to LA and set the Cannonball run record. And these are a couple other cars that we've done other cheap car Cannonballs in. But yeah, it was always this lifelong dream, kind of that holy grail of road trips that I'd always wanted to find a way to do. And so we picked this car. It's kind of a sleek, under the radar. You don't drive a Ferrari or a Lamborghini to go that far that fast, but it did the job great. It's got 2 additional fuel tanks, 3 radar detectors, 2 laser jammers, an ambulance traffic light changer, police scanner, CD radio, kill switches for everything, and everything you could ever want.
Yeah, I also like the spare wheel and tire in the back seat there.
Yeah, so normally that would go below the trunk floor, but the trunk's full of gas tanks, so you couldn't get to it. So we had to relocate that, and it became Dan's pillow most of the time.
Yeah, awesome. Great car, some great history that we have back here. But moving from history to now, we want to talk a little bit of a new car that you picked up, this Ferrari 430 Scuderia, that we're here to talk to you about some of the issues that we have. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about the history of the car, why you wanted to get this particular one, and what you've done with it since you bought it.
Right, so I don't really drive these all that much anymore. They don't really work very well, if I'm honest, but they're nice to keep around. So most of the time I drive one of these on a daily basis, and I love the big V12 Lamborghinis. To me, it's just the quintessential exotic car. It's big and dramatic and outrageous, and every time you drive it somewhere, even if it's just a lunch, it feels like an event, and I like that. But it's not quite as tossable. It's not something you just hop in and go, and so I wanted something to kind of complement that, and I think these 2 cars together make the perfect supercar.
Sure.
And it's nice to not always have to choose, and so I also tend to buy really rough examples of fully depreciated exotic cars. And so not your normal kind of go back home to their bubble sort of things. I mean, these are things, I drive them all I can. I usually drive 10 to 15,000 exotic car miles per year. And so I was planning to take this car on a cross-country rally from Nashville to Vegas, and the air conditioning components on these are a little bit iffy. And so I thought I had it all sorted out, had a new compressor, a new dryer in. Turned out the evaporator was gone, which took forever to actually find. They don't make them anymore. So I needed something to drive when it was inevitably down, and it happened to be down right at that moment. And so I'd actually tried to buy this exact car a couple of years prior. A different Lamborghini I had. I wanted to do like a 2-for-1 trade for a Bentley Super Sports that was gray over red, and this car, because I love gray over red cars, especially Ferraris, because one of my earliest kind of Ferrari memories was seeing the news coverage of the world speed record, 550 Maranellos, when they set the fastest 100 miles, fastest 100 kilometers at Nardo. But it just, to me, was just as a Ferrari ought to be. And I remember in 08, or really I guess probably late 07, when they did the dealer unveiling of the Scuderia. I mean, I was just out of college, but I got an invitation and went, and just seeing the car and all the little touches. I love the Stradale, but what you get on a Scud with no timing belts, a much better interior, much better transmission, a bit more power, it is a better car to own. And now a Stradale is more money. For the price, I think this represents like the best modern drivable Ferrari, and that's my sensitivity. Like, I want to be able to drive it. And so I bought this, and the next day left for the rally. So within the first week, really first few days, I put almost 7,000 miles on the car. And so it had about 28, it's got about 36 or so now, and I actually had no issues with it. I mean, obviously I used to sell Lamborghinis against the idea of Ferraris being unreliable, and I drank the Kool-Aid pretty well, because I do legitimately love the cars, but I think that better than having a different Lamborghini here, to get everything that's great about a Ferrari that every kid grows up loving, made a lot of sense as a complement to it. And so I never mind having the worst example of a really, really cool car. To me, the pursuit, the dream, the realization, the financial strategy it takes to kind of stretch and buy a car that you maybe shouldn't have tried to afford.
I know about that. Yeah,
is always been what's really satisfying, and it's also, no offense, not cleaning them.
Right.
You know, my normal cleaning routine is pull it out, get the pressure washer on. I mean, no soap or anything, and then just go as fast as I can to dry it off. So, a little bit of a different approach than I would assume you're accepting of, but. I bought it. Now, when I bought it, I knew it was already a fairly high mile car, and I knew it probably was not going to be perfect. And I had a PPI done at the local dealer. I bought it out of the McLaren dealer in Charlotte. But then I show up and I'm like, guys, you didn't disclose to me, and the shop that you sent it to, I mean, obviously there's only one place to send a Ferrari in Charlotte for a PPI. Nobody told me that it's an all-over repaint, and the dash is separating, and it looks like it might have twice as many miles.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's a nice car. I'm like, it's an Ed car. And Ed
not a nice
cars
car.
are not nice cars. I was like, I still want it, but the price we talked about has to be a little shrewdly negotiated, as we would say, to tweak it down. And so I ended up backing them up to a number I was perfectly okay with, actually what I always intended to pay for the car. But got it home, and then we immediately left. And all I honestly did was had my guys put a quick and dirty clear bra on.
Yeah,
I mean,
just to protect it for that long trip that you were going on.
I was like, I think they did the whole front of the car in an hour.
Yeah, which is amazing. Yeah, that is crazy.
But of course, you get it back from this rally, and it's a little scarred from it. And I can see that. I knew it was painted, but I mean, nothing serious.
Yeah.
Like the rockers are pretty chewed up. There were a lot of rock chips. There were a couple paint edges. It hasn't missed a beat mechanically. You know, having sold against Ferraris for a long time, is one of those things that comes as a bit of a shock. But brought it back in, put some new tires on it. You know, had a nice oil change done. But I mean, we went through, you know, some real gritty desert conditions. So, you know, it felt it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, lost a bit of paint in a few places, and most significantly, on these rallies, you put stickers all over the cars. So I had some stickers on the roof, I had some on the quarter panels, doors, everything else, and most everything came off except in these spots. Yeah, I can see that. And fortunately, it seems to have just lifted the clear coat, but I don't know if it's going to actually require some paint. There's also, of course, once you notice that, you start digging a little further. There's an awful tape line running down the red stripe. I noticed that, and you know, the experience with Ferraris, like we were talking about earlier, is a lot of time you'd see that kind of stuff coming from the factory even, particularly on some of the older ones, not as much on the newer ones. So yeah, we've got that issue. We've got, you know, paint that's been peeling in some different areas. It's obviously had this whole top area repainted at one point, possibly some others too. So I would definitely call this a needy finish on this car. But and that's my question for you, is like, is it too far gone? I mean, most of my cars, as you can kind of see, are real driver examples, and I would never, in most cases, call like a Concours level detailer, because I know I'm going to go get it dirty again. I guess my question is, like, for a car that I want to continue to drive, what is it that I need to do to bring it to whatever standard is possible, but then keep it that way? Well, I mean, that's exactly what we do. It's not very often we see cars with the paint in this kind of condition where you actually have pieces coming off. You know, most of what we're getting, they're going to be cars that we have to go in, polish the paint to get defects, swirls and scratches, those kind of things, sanding marks out of it. You know, we start from there, and then afterwards we go into the protection. Paint protection film on a car like this, we'd recommend wrapping the entire car. And what that would do for you is you can go out on your drives, all that mileage you put on every year, and you're not worried about it. It's like a complete mindset change when you go out and drive. You're not worried about it. You're not worried about going to events, people touching it. Doesn't matter how many do not touch signs you put on them, they're going to touch them anyhow. But with paint protection film, you have an issue. You can peel off a section, you can put a new one. If you beat up the front end on a long drive, or if you go on a rally, we've got customers that have gone on rallies before. Paint protection film is the only thing that saved them from having to do repaints afterwards, because that's really brutal on cars. And then, excuse me, and then finally,
Once we do all that, that's going to help the maintenance become easier. Cleanup is going to become easier on it. You don't have to spend so much time. A lot of people make the mistake thinking that you either have a highly detailed car or you have a driver car.
Right.
And what we try to educate people on is you can have both. You can have a car that looks fantastic, is preserved, and it becomes easy to maintain at the same time. Okay. Now with this one here, to answer your question, is it too far gone? No, it's not. Is it going to be a challenge? Absolutely. We're definitely going to have some areas refinished up here where the clear coat is coming off.
Okay.
But we see that a lot on older cars, older Ferraris. Bumpers are really popular, having to do repainting on there. A lot of times the paint from the factory was an issue. You put film on it. You go to peel the film off, the paint comes along with it.
And I know that'll go with the territory. The hood was already clear bronze when I bought it.
Yep.
Everything else was already off, which it means there's probably some more paint work under here.
Sure.
So I know it's kind of a crapshoot. And I do have this car completely clear bronze because I had it repainted. I bought it even worse than this car. And I always wanted one this color. They didn't make any for the US this color. But like that was on top of fresh, brand new 0-mile paint. I mean, to clear bronze, you're going to get this car good enough to clear bronze the whole thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what we'll do is we'll peel off the existing paint protection film that's on it. We'll inspect everything from there. If there's some chips here and there from driving before it had film on it, we can go in, fill those in, and then through the polishing process, we're going to refine that paint to a better level than what it even was from the factory. So we can extract more clarity out of that finish, even though it's older than what it originally had. We will work with fantastic painter to get all of this done, but even still, we'll go in and do refinement afterwards. Because painters are great painters, detailers are finishers. So in cases like this, it's good if you're gonna have some paint work done to work through a detailer to help finish out that process, because you may get an area done, and let's say the rest of it is all swirled up. You want to finish off the paintwork that happened, and then you want to finish off everything else so you have matching looks that they go along with it. So we'll be able to oversee that project. Then we get it back into our shop. We start tearing things apart, getting rid of paint protection film, doing all the polishing, and then getting into some of the finer details of the car. And before filming this, we looked around at the car a bit, and how can I say this nicely? It needs some work.
It does. But I think it's interesting. At VINwiki, we've obviously got an app for vehicle history, and we have storytellers coming here, and we make it very clear that being a car guy doesn't mean the same thing between you, me, other customers, anything like that, because ultimately we all approach the automotive hobby with a different agenda. And to be quite honest, a guy like me doesn't know many guys like you, because I assume that I'm destroying a car in the way that I drive it relative to the way most of your clients do. So I guess the question is, do we need to do what we're talking about now, or should I wait until I'm going to sell it? Is kind of my question.
Right. Well, the smart thing that I would recommend is you do it now. That way you're going to keep it from going any further, save you some work, because I know how you drive your cars. It's going to save you some work in the end. Then we leave you with some basic tips and information on how to easily care for it. You're going to go out, drive it. You may enjoy it more because it looks so much better. So the pride of ownership aspect of it. And then when you do get ready to go sell it, it's in great shape, and it's going to be good for selling. For me, right at first when I was getting into detailing, I always thought that you have to have the perfect car, and you get worried every time you drive it. You get worried every event that you go to with it. But then as the protection part of the industry started getting better with the paint protection film and the coatings and things, it really changed the way I thought about it. I don't worry when I go to crazy driving events that we always keep within the speed limit when we go in these driving events,
yes.
Or track days or car shows or whatever. I don't worry about it, and then I know when I go to clean it up, it's going to clean up real easy, and it's going to look like I just detailed it, after just a quick cleanup on it. So it really changes a lot, and there's a lot of different areas that we're going to work on this car here, with paint protection film, with some of the painting and all that we're going to be doing.
And are you going to want a ceramic coat on top of the clear bra?
Yeah, most likely we will. Why? Because it just gives you that much more protection. The paint protection film is protecting the paint, and then your coating is protecting the film from other airborne elements and stuff. The film is there to really protect it against the heavier hits. But coating, it can go on there, it can go on the carbon fiber, it can go on the wheels, it can go on the brake calipers.
You can coat carbon fiber?
You coat carbon fiber. First you go in and polish it. We have a lot of carbon fiber in here. Okay. Like on the back, these Scuderias, these are notorious.
Yeah, it's like the carbon's a bunch of different colors.
Yeah.
The heat yellows it a bit, and that's
Yep.
fine, but even just from gray to black to foggy.
Yeah.
And as a Lamborghini guy, I sold a lot of the quality of Lambo carbons a little bit more consistent,
Right.
usually. But Ferrari is known, especially in these types of track-oriented cars, for the use of a lot of carbon, but I can't get the junk clean.
Well, the carbon fiber, most of this carbon fiber, all the panels and everything will completely come out of the car. And we will machine polish that, and the difference it's going to make on that carbon fiber is going to be shocking once you see the difference. I've done plenty of these Scuderias, but all this in here, everywhere there's carbon fiber, it will get machine polished. Now your whole engine bay is kind of dead looking. And we want to bring a lot of brilliance out, let that carbon fiber, show. That's why we have glass up here, so you can see through and really
Sort
get
of see through.
Yeah, we'll fix that too. We'll even take these braces off to be able to clean underneath them that never get cleaned.
I don't even know how. Do you get a special skinny toothbrush for that?
Yeah, no, it's complete disassembly to get all that stuff clean. These bars will come out of there. Even the muffler here, we'll get that all polished up. So you have a great presentation, because right now the carbon fiber back here may blend in.
Yeah, gray car. Yeah. And I like gray cars because they're very forgiving in the way that they look, but I know it also probably gives us an opportunity. Yeah, it needs to look better.
Yep. So not only will we do that in the engine compartment, but in the interior, you've got a lot of carbon fiber, the door panels in there, the seats. We'll pull the seats out, polish up the seats back. Why? Well, why not? It's cool. It will look, you can tell people you got the best looking seat backs of a 430 Scuderia. With all that red leather, red starts showing some wear and tear over time. Yes. We'll get all that fixed up, looking right. Your sticky buttons that Ferrari is notorious for, we'll be able to get those things.
I have a 360 that the steering column surround was
gummy.
Yeah. And so every pair of pants I had a black stripe across the right knee
where
from
it
getting in and out. And so this one doesn't do that bad, but obviously I didn't buy it expecting a perfect car. As you really get in there, I'd love for you to tell me more of the story of where the car's been, what's been painted.
Yep.
Like this rocker, I don't know what's happened to it. It's got a crazy crack in it here that's been probably, I think a nice brush was used to paint it there.
Yeah.
And then there's a seam here or something that it's not supposed to be there, and all the Pininfarina badges are missing. So who knows? Maybe it was for jumps. They used
it could have been. We'll find some of those stories out as we go through it. You're going to learn more as part of the process that we do. That's what we look for. We try to find out what's gone on with the car, what issues it has, and figure out what items can be fixed and what can't. Because there's some stuff on here, this car or any car, that you simply can only make it better. And for a lot of people,
better is okay.
Better is okay, exactly. As detailers, we have to know, when to say when, so to speak,
right.
Because we're also preserving history You know, we want to make sure that these cars are going to be around for a long time. They're well preserved, they look good, and people can go out and drive them and enjoy them. Like you, which you are, we were talking about it at lunch earlier, you are a little bit different than a lot of our customers. A lot of our customers, these cars may simply sit in a warehouse or never get driven. You know, you are out there driving the car. So, you know, for the viewers who are watching in, we're going to have a mix. We're going to have a mix of you know, your viewers and our viewers. And a lot of our viewers, it's all about perfection. And your viewers, you're used to finding cars like this that might be a little bit rough around the edges. But we want to see if we can blend those, so to speak, and show how you can take an older car, maybe save some money because it's got some wear and tear, bring it back to life, and make it look as good or better as anything else out there, and you've still saved in the end. You got a car that's got 30-some thousand miles on it, even if it looks almost new, they're going to be more apt to drive those than the one that's sitting in their garage that's got 350 miles. That's right. And I've seen plenty of those. Some of my customers would consider 350 miles that you've driven the wheels off of the car. You know, nothing right or wrong or indifferent about that. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be a challenge and a lot of work. But
I think you're up for it.
Yeah, with the amount of Ferraris that we've worked on over the years, yeah, I think we can do it. Ever tell you what my first Ferrari that I worked on?
No.
288 GTO.
Oh, really?
My first.
Start small.
Yeah, start small and work your way up from there. So, yeah, we've got some experience. But I'd say next steps on this, we put it on a transport, ship it up to Ohio, and we get busy with it.
Sounds good to me.
All right, good. Look forward to it. It's going to be fun.
Good luck.
So, for those of you out there, you know, watching, stay tuned because we are going to do a video series on this. We're going to walk you through the entire process. Have probably a half a dozen videos. I think it's going to take with the amount of work that we have on it. But if you want to know more about it and you want to follow it, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. That way, every time we upload a video about this, you're going to find out. And if you haven't already, go over to VINwiki, subscribe to them because Ed has a ton of fantastic videos on there as well.